Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. This will be part 2 of the build. If you're following along with the channel, you might have seen part 1. Hopefully you have. If you haven't, go back and watch part 1 so you can be up to speed on part 2. But we're building this room down here in the building. And a little bit happened since the last video. My son came over and helped me frame this wall. In part 1, we framed those 2 walls there and put the headers in and tied in the exterior wall underneath the windows. And then he came and helped me build this one. And one of the reasons I built it and didn't film it is we had to move all this stuff over here in order to get to where we could build that wall. And the room will stop here at this wall tee, this wall lead. But I went ahead and built the wall all the way to that steel column. I didn't put any of the studs in because I might put a door going outside right here, a little side door to the building. And also we might possibly turn that into a bathroom for this room, or just a bathroom down here in the building in general, because it'd be nice to have a bathroom down here in the building. So that's future plans, but I went ahead and built the wall all the way because I'm pretty sure we're going to continue that wall all the way at some point. I also marked out a door to go out of the bedroom or out of this room. Yeah, I marked out a door to go out of this room into the wall here. I'm gonna go ahead and put a header in this wall and frame it like a door, but I'm gonna go ahead and put a stud in the middle of the doorway and sheetrock over the door, because we're not gonna put that door in right now, but in the future, if I want to, I can just cut out the sheetrock, take out that one stud, and I already have a header and everything in there for my door. So we're gonna plan ahead on that and go ahead and put that in that wall. We went ahead and laid out the plates for the 2 other walls of this room. We got them all cut, laid out. This over here will be, Sky's passed out on the floor, and Maverick's on guard. There you go, boy. But over here is going to be the door to this room. You come into the building right here and you can go right into the room. So we went ahead and put our door right here. Today's project is I got to get all these studs cut. They have to be cut down to exactly 10 foot, and then we're going to build these 2 big walls and stand them up. Then you'll really be able to see what this room's going to look like. Let me stand over here and give you a shot of what it looks like now with the plates laid there. If all the stuff's not in the way. But it's a decent sized room. Gonna be nice. I can't wait. I think I'm gonna use the OSB joist for the ceiling joist. I've been checking around, but I'm gonna have to order those, and I don't know how quickly I can get them. One place that I was checking said I could possibly get them as quick as the 8th of October, so I'll have to look into that and get those ordered this week. But we're gonna get these walls built. We still got to put all the blocking in, and then maybe we can work on some of the electrical outlets and run the electric while we're waiting for the rafters to come in, or the ceiling joists to come in. So stay tuned if you like this kind of stuff, because we got a lot of work ahead of us. There you go. Okay everyone, I made a corner like I showed you in the first video of this build, and I cut a pile of studs at 120, 10 foot exactly, for this wall here, this long 30-foot wall. Now obviously I can't stand a 30-foot wall by myself, so I'm gonna do it in 2 pieces. You can see that the plates, because of the length of the lumber, are broke right here is the bottom, and the top is broke right here. So I'll probably build up until this break here, and I'll let the bottom plate just run long, and then I'll build this section over here, and I'll put these studs in, and I'll show you how to keep them from falling off the top plate when you go to stand the wall. So I'm going to build this section over here first with the door into the room. I went ahead and I built a header for the door, just like we did on the windows. Piece of 1/2-inch plywood in between, two 2x12s nailed from both sides. So we're ready to go ahead and lay this wall over. I'm going to bring it over here in this open area, and we're ready to nail it together. So I'm going to do that, and we'll stand her up. Make sure you crown your studs. All crowns going the same way. You can put them all down or up, it doesn't matter. I like to put them all up. But as long as they're all going the same way. So I left the two out on the sides of the jack so I can nail the header, and then I'll put those in. I think on this one, since it's not a window, I'm going to go ahead and put my header tight to the top. There's not going to be curtains on a door, but on the windows, I like to bring them down to the top of the windows. Gives you something for curtains or valance or whatever you're going to put above your window. You got something to screw to or nail to. But on the door, it'd be fine to go all the way up to the top. So there it is laid out, this half. I'm going to go ahead and nail this together, and we'll stand it up. Okay, so I cut the jacks. I got these two studs laid in here. You want these jacks to be nice and tight, but not so tight that they separate your bottom plate from your stud. This is kind of perfect. Actually, the plate just came apart right here. A hair long. Let me take the blade off of this. I guess when I measured, the plate was coming apart. Make sure you crown your jacks too. See if that fits a little snugger, a little better. Oh, that's perfect. It just fell in there. And this one's probably a little tight too. could have lived with it, but I'll go ahead and take a little bit off of it. Beautiful. So we'll go ahead and nail those in. Make sure you shoot your jack to your king stud. I like to stagger my nails up and down so it doesn't want to curl apart. Some bad lumber. Really had to fight with it to get it to be flush. I like to shoot that toenail into your header too from your jack. That kind of keeps it from pulling apart. A lot of people will toenail them here too. I sometimes will put one or two, but if you get this one in there good and you got your top plate tight, bunch of dirt in the mouth. Alright, one more. ready to stand this thing up. Okay guys, sorry about that. I had that wall halfway lifted up and I looked over at the camera and realized, oh crap, I forgot to turn the camera on. And that's a heavy SOB, so I wasn't about to set her back down with that header in there, that 2x12 at the top. Yeah, it was heavy. So I just lifted it up. I nailed it just a couple times on the bottom in the corner over there, and I put this diagonal brace on it right here. So I'll show you how I, button it all up. But sorry I didn't turn the camera on when I lifted it. But I'll make sure I do that on these other ones. All right, let's button this one up and we can build these other ones. Okay, this is the corner of the wall where I nailed it a couple times at the bottom into the corner. This end is still loose, moving around. I need to make sure that I get it on the line and make sure it's tight that way and on my line from my doorway, and I'll get a tap con in the bottom plate. And then I'll finish nailing it all the way up. So I want to get this corner nice and secured. Using these same white tap cons. When you're doing the tap cons, you want to remount the hole like that to get all the dust out of there, or this things will never go in. And try not to knock a lot of dust in the hole when you put the screw in. Helps a lot. And then make sure you have the right bit. It's a number 3, not a number 2 on these. And they'll go right in. I'm gonna go ahead and get 2 in this one since it's the doorway and this is the end of the wall. So now I'll go ahead and nail this corner all the way up, get it all nice and flush with our corner. You can see the tops the tops bowed in, so I got to straighten that out and get some nails in that. Okay, on our doorway here, we want to make sure that we're on the lines and we have our 38 inches for our door. Door's 36, you always do it 2 inches bigger. And then make sure we're on our chalk line this way, and we can go ahead and secure the other side of this door with a tap con. Try to get it as close to the end as you can. Since this stud's here, I'll just go right on the other side of it.
Don't forget your bit. Sometimes you leave your bit there. All right. So, all right. So I'll go ahead and do tap cons on every other bay all the way down. I'll go ahead and fasten the end down here where we don't have any studs, because it is the bottom plate of the wall. We just didn't put the studs in because we don't have the top plate. The top plate stops. You want to stagger your seams in your wood. So I'll go ahead and get the bottom of this all secure with tap cons, and then we'll build the other section and stand it up. And there's the inspector over there. Inspector Maverick. He's making sure everything's going up to code. Okay, so these last two studs don't have a bottom plate because we already nailed the bottom plate down on the other wall. So if you just shoot these studs with two nails this way, like that, when you stand the wall, these are liable to pull out and leave a gap. And then it's going to be hard getting them on that plate while you're holding the wall. So let me show you a little trick that'll help keep that from happening. Just go ahead and shoot them in like you would normally with two nails. Okay? And then come back and put a toenail this way. You could put them this way too, or you could put two. You could put one like that and one on the top, but you got to have that toenail. That'll keep them from separating when you lift the wall up. A little twisted on the end. Alright, I think we're ready to stand this one up. Alright, let's lift this thing up. Put it in position. Let's see how those studs up there stay together. So it'll be easy to get them on the plate. I can pretty much just do that, and they're on there. They're not hanging way down. They're not holding my plate up. So when I slide it over, my two top plates will go together perfectly. Boom. All right. Nail it up. Tap on it. Easy peasy. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. Got a brace over here. Just a temporary, because when I build the other wall, it'll be in the way. And this is load lumber. I'm going to get the ladder and secure that top plate there before it falls. Okay, I left that end stud out. It's laying in there, but I left it out so it wouldn't drag on that wall when I stand this up. So I think I'm ready to stand it up. Make sure when you're nailing your corners, you nail into each one of those blocks that you put in when we made the corner or the T. So that's good to go there. Okay, everyone, I went ahead and built the header for this door that I'm gonna cover up and put it in. I had some leftover 2x12, so I just used that. I went ahead and filled in the studs that I left out for nailing the header. and I Tapcon the whole bottom of the wall. So it's nice and secure. I mean, it's wiggly in the middle because we don't have any braces on it right now. And I'm still trying to decide how I want to brace this, because we got to get in here with 20-foot ceiling joists, and we got to have room to move around. And I can't brace them going the other way because we have all our stuff over there. So I'm still trying to figure out exactly how I want to do that. But I'm going to go ahead and put one stud in the middle of this doorway right here, just so I can run by with the sheetrock and have something to nail to right there. And then if I want to make that a door, I can just cut it out. So I'm just going to toenail one stud in that. And then over here in the front door, we got to put our cripples and a header, a 2x4 header down at the door height to fill that in. So I'm going to work on that now, and then we'll see what time it is. It's getting late. I think it's probably close to 4 o'clock already. So, but we'll see what we can get done. Okay everyone, I got those cripples in above that door and it framed down to the right height. Most of the time a residential interior door header's probably around 82.5. This is a commercial door, solid door, exterior door, and it's the door itself is 85, so I set the header at 85.5 to give me a little bit of room. So I got that done, and I'm gonna take you up on the ladder so you guys can see. The next step is to put the double top plates on these walls to stiffen them up. So let me show you how we do that. Okay, we're up on the ladder, and this is the top of the wall. So you got the top plate of this wall going to here, and then you got the top plate for this wall stopping and butting into this wall. So when you put your next top plate on, your double top plate, you want this one to run over this one, which will lock them all together. So, and when you nail your double top plate, you want to nail above the studs everywhere where there's a solid piece underneath, because the electricians and the plumbers, they have to drill in between these studs to run their wires and pipes. And if you nail out here in the middle, they're going to be hitting these nails all day long with their drill bits, and they're going to get real mad. So, and when you cut your double top plate on the other end over here, you want to make sure that it breaks on top of one of the studs, so that when you nail the joint, it's above a stud too. So I already cut this one for the top. I'm going to go ahead and pull it up here and nail it and show you how we do it. You can see here I lapped this one going that way, so that'll lock it all together. I usually put 3 or 4 in the end in the top plate that way to make sure I'm flush, and then I'll do 2 above this first stud. 2 like that over every stud all the way down, and keeping it flush, and that'll stiffen this wall up nicely. So I'm gonna go ahead and nail this one off and bring you back, and we'll do these others. Okay, you can see here, this is the other end of that board I was just showing. I made sure I cut it to where it broke on a stud, so that when I nail it, the nails are still above the stud. And you also want to keep in mind that you don't want to break this on the same spot that your first top plates broke. You want to stagger your joints. So I'm going to go ahead and put all these on. Every time you get to the top of the ladder and start nailing something, you run out of nails. That's just part of the game.
Good morning, everyone. It's the next day. Yesterday off camera, I went ahead and put all the double top plates on. I'll show you that. As you can see, I left it cut out for our closet walls so that the double top plate of the closet wall can go ahead and fit in there. We're going to try to make our closet walls just a tiny bit shorter than our bearing walls, maybe a 1/16 or an 1/8, so that our ceiling rafters actually bear on our bearing walls and not on our closet walls. Okay, so everything's looking pretty good. Today we're gonna go ahead and build these closet walls if we have enough studs. Also yesterday I took what was left of the studs and I cut them at 10 foot and stacked them over here so I could do a little cleanup. So hopefully we have enough studs. We have some extra 16 footers, so maybe we can cut some studs out of that and use what's left over for the blocking, because we have to put the fire blocking in all the walls. So let's get started. Okay, we'll lay out our walls for our closet. We want 4 foot inside the closet. You know, minus sheetrock, it'll actually be 47 inches inside the closet. Once it's sheetrocked, I'm going to use 1/2 inch sheetrock. So I got these marked here. We need to mark them on the other end where the closet's going to be. Okay, so we got our 4 foot set ahead over there. We get our 4 foot set ahead over here. Alright, so we can pop these lines across here. Now we need to find that end wall, and that steel beam's in the way to get a real accurate measurement over there. So I'm going to go ahead and grab my square. So got my tape squared up in front of that steel column. Now I can just put my speed square right here, and that's why I like the carpenter pencils, because they're square, and you can put it like that. And you can get a measurement. It looks like it's going to be 170.5 set back. So I'll do my 3.5 here. And 170.5 set back. I can come out here. If I had these lines popped, I could get right on the line, but I haven't popped them yet. Come out here and get my 170.5. And that's set back, so it's 3.5 inches back. Yeah, I'm building this all in my head. I didn't draw any prints or plans, or just kind of build it as you go, you know. So kind of change things, think about things as I'm doing them, and like, oh, wait a minute, I want to do it this way. So let's go ahead and get them lines popped to separate these closets. I'm at 167. Half of 167 is 83.5. 83.5. Double check that to make sure I did my math right. And yes, I did do my math correct. So that is the center of a 3.5 inch wall. So half of 3.5 is 1 3/4 inches.
go back 1 3/4 inches, and we'll go ahead 1 3/4 inches. And we should have 3.5. And we do. So now we can just measure what this is to that mark. It's 81 3/4. So we can just mark that here, 81 3/4 straight ahead. $81 3/4 cent ahead, and that should be our center line of our closet right here. I got the closets all laid out. I don't know if you can see the lines on the camera. So I decided to put the door on the ends of the closet instead of in the center, give us a little bit of more wall space that way. We decided to go with a 30-inch door, so I marked 32 for our framing. I got the ends, and then this will be the center wall, so that'll be a closet right there with a 30-inch door. So when I was building these other walls, I forgot to do a wall lead right here for the center wall of this closet. This right here should have been a wall lead instead of just a stud. So I'll go ahead and frame that out and make that a wall lead so I can build this wall first, because I want to build this center wall first, because if I build this big wall, then I got to try to fish this little wall in between there. So I'll build that wall first, and I'll probably build this other little wall first, and then I'll build this big long one and stand it up against those two little walls. So yeah, first things first is let's make that a T over there so that we can build these little walls. Okay, so what I did is I went ahead and nailed my blocks onto my studs, so now I can just slide the whole thing in there. And I forgot to put my tools on, so we're free winging it with no tools. That's better. Easy peasy. We have a T. Okay, I got these two closet wall plates cut, laid them out, real simple, just 4 studs in each wall. So I'm just gonna pull these plates over here. The studs are already cut from earlier, or from yesterday, and I'm gonna go ahead and build these 2 walls and stand them up. Okay, we got those two walls built up. We're ready to lay out the plates for this big wall. Build it, stand it up against those two, and nail it off. Okay, I laid this one out. Ready to nail it together. Got all the studs in. Got our T for our middle wall and the closets. I built a little custom corner here with 1 3/4 inch blocks so that I could make this all solid right here. I'll put my jack next to that corner. I had some scrap 2x6s laying under the horses over there, so I went ahead and built 2 headers. I'm not going to put them in the wall until after I stand it up, just for weight sakes. Also, I wanted to show you here on this, if I put this on the wall and stand the wall up, I won't have any way of putting a Tapcon in this plate. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this plate and put it over here where it goes, and I'm going to go ahead and toe nail it into this other plate and then put a Tapcon in it right here. And then when I stand the wall up, I'll just set the studs up onto this and toe nail them. Okay, I got this corner secured, plumb, all the way up. So now we have this wall lead in the middle, and we need to plumb this wall on that T, the inside closet wall. So, but before we can do that, we need to get some Tapcons in this bottom plate. Okay, I was able to do that corner over there because we had already Tapcon that little plate. So let's get some Tapcons in the bottom. All right, everyone. Let me go ahead and put the double top plates on these closet walls. So I got it notched out here so it can overlap these 2 plates here, and I'll run it all the way out to the corner, and it'll overlap these 2 plates, and it'll lock this wall in to these other walls, and it'll be nice and solid. So I'm gonna go ahead and put all these double top plates on, and I think I'm gonna end this video here. This will be part 2. Subscribe so you can see part 3 if you're not, and you'll get notifications of when it comes out. Part 3 will be all the fire blocking and maybe installing the door that I have here for the room, and also maybe a little bit of electrical, and we'll go over some of the electrical. I really appreciate everybody watching and following along, and if you're not subscribed, subscribe, throw us a like, and we'll see you on the next one.